Shalom, hello. This is Rav Johnny Solomon of the Hood. I hope you're well. I hope your Pesach preparations are coming together. And in this online Parents Bet Midrash session, I thought we'd share some ideas relating to the Dayenu song that we sing midway through the Seder night, and about goal setting and Jewish education, all these being close themes to what we do here at the Hood. So let's begin, and we're going to begin with the Dayenu. And what is Dayenu? It is a 15-line song of praise, saying to God, if you'd have just done this, it would have been enough. And the fact you did this, but you did more, it would have been enough. And had you done this, but not done that, it would have been enough. It is really a rolling song of appreciation. And many people have different tunes to Dayenu, and that's great. I think it's one of the most entertaining parts of Seder night. And as you see here on the left-hand side, you can divide the 15 lines of the Seder into 3 sections. One explicitly about leaving slavery, one explicitly about the miracles, and one really about the revelatory moments we had with God, both in Egypt and beyond. Still, whatever we do with the Dayenu, it seems to emphasize appreciation. And yet, when you read the Dayenu, you kind of ask the following. Would it really have been enough just to have been brought out of Egypt and that's it? Would it really just have been enough for God to have slain the firstborn? Would it really have just been enough to lead us through dry land and just leave us there? You see, Dayenu is an interesting song because what it suggests is if we stopped the story halfway through, that would have been fine. But I don't know if it would. So how do we make sense of Dayenu, both in terms of the song and also in terms of life? What I want to do is share with you an idea by Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. And he really believes that Dayenu is about appreciation. He recognizes that as a story unfolds through the song, that there is more to the story that needs to happen. Yet Dayenu is about celebrating moments of success. It's about celebrating small steps of growth. It's about celebrating the micro parts of the macro story. As he says, Dayenu's message is straightforward. We need to know how to say enough. On this evening of the journey from slavery to liberty, we achieve our very freedom. By saying Dayenu, we focus on what we have, not what we don't. We have enough, Dayenu. We are satisfied enough. Dayenu means it's enough to enjoy this moment, to be present in this experience, to savor this gift and to cherish this opportunity without having to always look forward or crave the next one. Of course, and we're going to come back to this point later, each stage and each stanza of this song is incomplete because, as we know, the story then unfolds further. Each is imperfect, but nevertheless, Dayenu, each is still enough. Enough to prompt us to say thank you, and even enough to make us happy. What Rabbi Goldberg seems to be saying here is that Dayenu isn't just a song, it's a philosophy. As a rabbi say, who is rich? Somebody who is happy with their lot. Dayenu is about saying, I'm happy with what I have. It's possible that that will increase in the future. And happy where I am, it's possible that where I am will change in the future. But it's about looking in the moment and saying Dayenu. And I think in life, oftentimes we're looking so much ahead, asking ourselves what tomorrow will be, this can sometimes detract from celebrating the gift of the present. And the present is a gift. That's why it's called present. So the gift of the present deserves our involvement with it. The gift of the present deserves our appreciation of it. And that is what Dayenu is. It's a very time-focused song. It's a very time-aware song. In fact, a major message people say about the Exodus is this is when we went from being a nation that were just bound by the time of Pharaoh, we were enslaved according to his time frame, to when we were able to be masters of our own time, which is why, by the way, the first commandment, the first mitzvah given to the Israelites, even when they were in Egypt, was HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodashim, the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, of setting our calendar, of being masters of our own time. To be in control of your own time is great. To value your time is wonderful. To celebrate being in a moment is a gift. And Dayenu is all about that. And so this is a message that Rabbi Goldberg wishes to teach us, and it's one that we should all take to heart, and certainly one we should try and communicate and share to our children. But Dayenu also teaches us something else. And Bettina Gozo, who is a Nike global trainer, she's really a remarkable athlete and somebody who teaches about what it means to grow and to reach goals. She doesn't speak about Dayenu, but she says something which I think is very Dayenu reflective. And she says, we've all set goals before. Setting is the easy part, because dreaming big can be really fun. Following through to make those dreams a reality, that's the hard part. My advice, says Bettina Goza, is to take your big picture goal and break it down into more specific, doable micro goals. Now, what she's saying here is the following. Dayenu isn't just about micro celebrations. It's not just about celebrating each small part in the story of the Exodus, but it also provides us with a blueprint to how each of us can reach goals of our own. It provides us with a blueprint to teach us how each of us can achieve great things. And Dayenu says, don't think the Exodus happened with one singular act. There are 15 little steps and so many more in between. And so what does Bettina Goza say? You want to achieve great things? Create micro goals, small goals, things you can say, I could do this, I'm going to do this, I've done this, Dayenu. And then move on. I could do this, etc. So Dayenu is both a song of appreciation, but it's also a roadmap for each of us. A roadmap for each of us to learn how to move from one place to another, how to grow from one person to being a different type of our own person, how to achieve, how to succeed. It's about micro goals, micro celebrations, and micro goals. So far we've heard from Rabbi Goldberg, which is about saying enough, I have enough, I appreciate. Bettina Gozo says, say enough in every moment, they'll push you to move forward. So I don't know if you see here, there is a tension between these two ideas. One is about stopping at the end of every Dayenu and saying, that could just be enough, and that's great. Bettina Gozo says, don't be silly. We make micro goals to get to macro goals, but we need micro goals so that we can get to the macro goals. Dayenu, it's enough, and then we can do another thing, which is enough. There's basically the smaller Dayenu at the end of every line. And then there's a grander Dayenu at the end of the song. And she's saying, say Dayenu each time you do something great, but know that there's going to be a greater Dayenu. You do something extraordinary. And on this theme, I read an idea a few weeks ago. I'm sorry, it's in Hebrew, but I'll summarize it. It's an idea provided by Rabbi Tzvi Nachum Kagan. And he basically says the following. It lists, look at all these amazing things we have to show appreciation to God for. So he summarizes the Dayenu. He says, what's interesting is, even though the song leads us to cry out, proclaim Dayenu at the end of every line, nevertheless, אין הקדוש ברוך הוא מתחשב עם הדיינו הזה, אלא נותן לו רוחניות בכל המתנות בשלמות בפי השגת הקדוש ברוך הוא. באמת, אחר נתינה, כל מה שנתן, אין כאן באמת שום דבר של מותרות. כי מובן שכל דבר הוא מוכרח, גם מה שכתוב, אלה קרב לנו לפני הר סיני ולא נתן לנו את התורה. So I'll explain. It's funny, we express appreciation. We say thank you to God. And God gives us these gifts. God took us through these chapters of the Exodus story. And each thing God did for us was remarkable. And we need to say thank you. And yet at the same time, he goes on to say, when the next chapter comes along, you realize the incompleteness of the previous one. You understand what I'm saying? That Dayenu is about God doing things for us, or in times us doing things for ourselves. In that moment, our goal, our micro goal, is something specific. But once we pass it, we're into the next one, we realize that that previous goal wasn't enough, because we now have much more work to do. And so how do we relate to the Dayenu, especially in terms of balancing that sense of being satisfied and saying it's enough, and that idea of growth and the micro goals and going big and trying to achieve the macro that you're working towards? This kind of complex dynamic of being satisfied during the journey and yet recognizing you've yet to reach your destination is one I think a lot of us experience in life. And so Rabbi Tzvi Nachum Kagan basically goes on to say that God gives to us, and at the same time, God gives us the hunger for us to want more, and then God gives more. And I think that applies in work, in education, it applies in so many other aspects of life. I remember I play the piano. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. So when I was young, playing a very simple piece, that was a goal. That was a micro goal, being able to play a simple piece. And at the end, you'd say, Dayenu, I did it. But, you know, by learning that simpler piece, I kind of felt a sense of hunger for learning something more complicated. Then I started learning that. And at the end of that, it was Dayenu, I achieved this piece of music. I can play this Beethoven. And I said, but now I'm hungry. I'm hungry for Chopin. I'm hungry for Mozart. And you see how things escalate, right? And I think that idea, that notion, which we apply in our homes, sometimes when learning the piano, we apply in our homes in so many other aspects of our life in terms of self-improvement, healthcare, maybe exercise, or you set goals and then you push yourself to do more and more. You have to balance being satisfied with where you're at and recognize that if you're on a journey, there may come a point when you say where I wasn't where I want to be. Communicating this complex reality of Dayenu as if enough, and yet Dayenu as representing a hunger, a want, each line merely being a micro goal. This is a skill that we learn in life, or it's a skill we should learn in life. It's a skill we learn when we do different things, ballet, sports, music. It's a skill we learn in the workplace, it's a skill we learn in relationships. But the place we most learn this skill is at home. Home is where every child needs to know it's enough. And home is where every child needs to learn there's still more to do. And I think on Seder night, when we sing the Dayenu, this is when we most powerfully communicate this concept. So I'd like to end with playing you a Dayenu song because it's great. So this is Yonina playing Dayenu. And I hope capturing the sentiment that we've talked about today. I wish you all not just a Chag, Kasher v'Sameach, a kosher and happy Pesach. But as my rabbi used to teach me, a Chag Sameach v'Kasher. Have a happy and kosher Pesach. Have a great time. Pesach is meant to be a holiday. You should enjoy it. So let's end with listening to Yonina singing Dayenu.
Ilu, ilu, הוציאנו, הוציאנו ממצרים, הוציאנו ממצרים, דיינו, 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 הוציאנו, הוציאנו ממצרים, הוציאנו ממצרים, דיינו, 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 פסח שמח.
פסח שמח לכולם. Bye everybody.